And that is a wrap for Texas Pinball Festival 2024. Have to say, had an amazing time. Got to hang out, meet a lot of cool people, play some pinball, of course. Anything your heart's desire when it comes to arcade games, pinball machines, great vendors, all the major manufacturers are represented. I'll go through a rundown of all my thoughts and opinions of the brand new games, because yes, played them all. And I've got thoughts, I've got opinions, I've got likes, I've got dislikes, and I've got notes, because I'm that type of guy that goes and plays pinball and actually takes notes. Anyways, if you've never been, definitely check it out. One of the highlights for me, number one, this is gonna sound weird, but carpet. Yes, that's right, carpet. When you're on your feet for up to 10 hours a day like me, most of the time it's actually 15 to 16 because I was pulling all-nighters. Playing pinball, your knees, your feet, definitely gonna get tired. Luckily, they had that trade show carpet going on, so that was a relief on the knee. One of the coolest things I got to play was the Foo Fighters Stern Pro pinball machine, but this one was unique in that it was integrated to control the flippers, the plungers, you name it, via a rock band style Guitar Hero plastic guitar, you know. Very cool experience. I was walking by, saw someone strumming along playing it, and I literally stopped dead in my tracks and I said, "What is that witchcraft? And how can I play it?" And they said, "Jump right in." So I got to play me some Foo Fighters with a guitar. Great experience. Very unique, obviously, but very cool nonetheless. So Friday, the first course of action for me, since I was able to get in before the open general admission crowds. I got in there, went straight to Spooky Pinball. Got to play the new Looney Tunes as well as Texas Chainsaw Massacre machines, and if you're not aware, those two machines actually share the exact same playfield layout and design, but they play completely different. The rule set, how you start modes, multi-ball, that type of things, very unique individual game. Me, I'm not really a horror guy, I'll just admit that right out of the gate, so I'm naturally going to gravitate more towards Looney Tunes, but I did put equal time on them, and I do say, without, you know, the anti-horror bias, that I still prefer Looney Tunes. I just thought theme integration, the cutscenes and all the cartoon clips you get to see versus the animation and the few sparing clips you got to see of the actual Chainsaw Massacre movie. I just thought Looney Tunes was better in that aspect, but as far as shots and layout and everything, I think this is the best designed playfield layout that Spooky Pinball has ever done. A lot of unique shots, a lot of you know, loopable and comboing shots. It took me a little while to get the upper ramps figured out and get those looping, but once I got it going, very satisfying. As far as artwork, design, and aesthetics of both these machines, they both look amazing. Artwork, packages, the whole 9 yards, especially with like the collector's edition. You get the topper, the beautiful powder-coated armor. And one thing I noticed that I wasn't even aware of until I actually got to the show was on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, its armor, it actually has like the sawtooth blade edges there all along these side rails, which I thought was a crazy cool touch. And again, something I wasn't even aware of just looking at the pictures online when it first got announced, but really enjoyed playing both of these games. I think this is probably the best playing game Spooky's released to date. So that is exciting. I've got high hopes for them for that aspect. One thing Spooky's always kind of been knocked on is kind of slight reliability issues over the years, but they do make really good games. It's just hopefully they can, you know, fine tune the manufacturing process, specifically with these two new games, because I think they're definitely going to sell quite a few Looney Tunes and Texas Chainsaw Massacre games for sure. Another thing that was a little adjacent to them, next to it was a homebrew of Motorhead, and I gotta say this thing was absolutely amazing. Had a great setup, had some faux Marshall stack amps beside it, which is really cool. Had an amazing integrated topper. I mean, for a homebrew, this thing is absolutely phenomenal, and actually was coated by one of the official members over there at Spooky Pinball, so it was nice that it was kind of over there with the rest of the Spooky lineup. But it was super loud, great clips, great call outs. I mean, this thing, you could hear it from across the showroom floor, which is quite impressive, considering there's just that drone of, you know, pinball music and noise and flipping and bumpers and all that stuff going on. But absolutely amazing game. If it's ever around your area at a next convention, definitely check it out. Hopefully, fingers crossed, one of these days, maybe Spooky will even make this for you. And speaking of homebrew, I was excited to see the homebrew selection this year. Good turnout, but one thing that impressed me was where it was actually located on the showroom floor. Whereas at Pinball Expo in Chicago, they treated the homebrew games kind of like the redheaded stepchild and put them so far off in the back corner that a lot of people didn't even notice they were there, and they walked on by without even, you know, getting to experience these amazing games. This year, not the case. They were kind of right next door to Barrels of Fun, so they got a lot of foot traffic, and I gotta say the lines for these games was pretty consistent, pretty long throughout the whole weekend, which is great because there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into these machines. And a couple standouts for me for sure was Beavis and Butthead. Got to play it at Pinball Expo, got to play it again here at Texas Pinball Festival. It was great. There was an amazing Saw as well as a Friday the 13th machine. These things looked like they, were 100% manufactured by some of the big dogs, but instead, like I said, these are homebrew games that people made on their own, coded, you name it, everything they did themselves. This was phenomenal. Like I said, not a horror guy, but I gotta admit, those two games looked amazing. They played really, really well, and I was excited to see homebrew get more attention. And of course, the proverbial pinball big dog was there, Stern. They had a ginormous setup, great Jaws themed decor everywhere as far as the overall ambiance of their little area. I say little, they had like it looked like 20 Jaws machines, so there was tons to see and do. They had insider connected leaderboards going for the weekend, which is really great. This is the first time I actually got to play Jaws. There's a local Jaws pro in my area around my house, but unfortunately I just haven't had time to go check it out. But I got to play pro and premium. Enjoyed how both of them shot. Really great layouts, as really anyone can expect from Keith Elwin these days. I mean, the guy just knows how to make an amazing pinball machine. I'm a huge Steven Spielberg fan, so I'm a big fan of Jaws. This one, for whatever reason, just didn't make me fall in love with it. It's not something I felt like, oh my god, I gotta buy this right now. But there's nothing against the game itself. It just, for whatever reason, just didn't tug at my heartstrings like I thought it would as far as those nostalgic vibes. But as far as the shots, the layouts, there's a couple of callouts that are obviously going to get a little repetitive. This is early code, mind you, but I don't know how many times you could hear the shark spotted, shark, shark, shark clip. I mean, it felt like that was going off every 5 seconds with everybody playing the same game around you. One thing that I was interested in checking out, and one thing I had a slight concern when I first saw the announcement, was one of the coolest features on the Jaws pinball machine is that it has a shark fin pop-up target that kind of rotates in a kind of quarter moon shape, and I immediately, when I saw that on the gameplay reveal, I was like, wow, that's really cool. I wonder if that's going to have issues with damage or breaking off, because it doesn't necessarily follow a traditional up and down pattern of a drop target that would have kind of the reinforcement in the back. And wouldn't you know it, I actually stumbled across two machines that had issues with the target. One where the target was busted after being played over the weekend and it would no longer raise, and another one where the target completely broke off. Now, mind you, these games were getting used and abused over the entire weekend for hours upon hours upon hours, but that was slightly concerning because that was something that I had feared initially when the game first got revealed. So I guess time will tell whether or not that becomes a long-term issue or if something, maybe in the early manufacturing process has changed, but I was a little disappointed to see that actually come to fruition. One of my fears about this game in Texas Pinball Festival when I was actually experiencing this game firsthand. And when it comes to Jaws, Pro, Premium, doesn't matter, you're gonna have a great shooting game either way. Another thing they had on display, mind you, was the new Foo Fighters Pinball Accessories, their topper, their shooter rod, the expression lighting and everything. I did think it was a little odd that they literally only had it on one single solitary machine. They had two Foo Fighters on display, and like I said, predominantly Jaws since it was their new game, but you would think since they just announced those new accessories at the show that they'd be a little more on display. But the topper looks cool. Don't know about $2,000 cool, but very cool, great lighting, good theme integration with that Foobot, the shooter rod and everything, but those prices are, yeah, too rich for my blood. Turner Pinball was there once again with their new and improved Ninja Eclipse machine. Got to play and see this at Pinball Expo, and I was actually delighted to see the changes that had occurred from Expo to TPF because they were much more positive in my opinion. The machine looks better, plays a little bit better. There's a few tweaks he said he did, but overall it's still the same kind of gameplay experience. So if you played it at Expo or if you played it anywhere else, nothing really has changed there, but the cabinet looks so much better, just the traditional cabinet shape and design and everything now. The price has come down now, so it's a little more competitive in that aspect. So time will tell if that's something that the market actually is going to, make room for another pinball manufacturer, but I'm excited to see, more people making pinball machines. American Pinball. Where do I start with this one? All right, so they showed up with Barry O's Barbecue Challenge, and the crowd went mild. I don't want to bash this thing too much. I played it, and it's It's a very forgettable experience. That's the nicest thing I can say about it. There's nothing wrong with the machine, mind you. Early code and everything, keep in mind, but it's just, there's nothing great about it. There's nothing memorable about it whatsoever. There's no cool mechs, or there's nothing that's gonna get you that ooh ah factor to, you know, make you buy it. You're not gonna buy it on name brand recognition or anything like that. There's a lot of pinball people that don't even know who Barry O is, so you're not gonna see that on the back glass and go, oh man, I gotta have that. Barbecue restaurants aren't gonna buy that machine thinking, all right, that's Pitmaster Barry O. Not the case there. The shots, the layout and everything was very generic. A lot of people compared it to Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels is a much better game in my opinion. And honestly, the layout's not really too similar to Hot Wheels. Maybe the color scheme on some of the playfield, I can, you know, see how you can get those two confused. But it's just felt like a very generic, bland game. The call-outs were a little kind of silly. They were calling you like chef boss instead of pit boss, or king chef, I don't know, something very not barbecue related. A lot of the animations, and I say animations, they're not really animations, but what's going on the scoreboard and everything are straight out of Adobe stock footage of just generic barbecue clips. It felt very phoned in and just bland by all accounts, and considering Galactic Tank Force was maybe not as well received as they would like, it just feels like such a head-scratching moment for American Pinball to come out with just flop right out of the gate. And I obviously that's probably too early for me to, you know, judge so harshly and call it a flop, but I can tell you most of these games are always going to be, you know, sold as demo units at the show. And as I left Saturday morning at 2 a.m., I think I only saw maybe out of the 5 Barry O's barbecue machines that were demo units for sale, 2 with sold signs, and that's typically not a good indicator of demand out there. If you've just revealed a brand new game, you got all the pinball people around it, and you can't sell it to them, typically not a good sign of things to come. And that's frustrating for me, because American Pinball has a good reputation for figuring out how to manufacture pinball machines. They're good at that. They can pump out pinball machines. I scratch my head with a lot of their business decisions as far as what games they're creating and how they're being marketed and shown and released to the public. This one is just, this was a doozy of a strikeout for me. I played it a couple times and I just never wanted to play it again. That was my ending walk away feeling after I played that. I was just like, I'd rather play any other machine in this building, sadly. Chicago Gaming Company was once again there with Pulp Fiction. I've already talked about this machine, so I'll just be light on it. It's a fun playing machine. I do prefer the more modern games through the retro layout, but it is still a nice mesh melding of modern versus old school. You got the old school layout and the modern kind of call outs and mode progression type of thing, so it's enjoyable. One thing I will say is I know several people that were at last year's TPF that ordered this machine that 1 year later have still not gotten this machine. So like I said, American Pinball, they can manufacture machines, they can get them out there, they just for whatever reason can't make machines that people actually want to buy. Chicago Gaming Company, complete opposite end of the spectrum. They can make all sorts of games that people want to buy, they just can't actually make the machines and deliver it to the customers. So hopefully they get something figured out in that aspect. Jersey Jack, once again, showing off the Elton John pinball machine, and I've already uploaded a dedicated video about my thoughts and opinions on Elton John from Pinball Expo. Played it again, still enjoy it, still to this day is my favorite Jersey Jack pinball machine, and that's from a person that's never really been a Jersey Jack pinball machine, but far and away this is the best playing, best feeling as far as the flippers and everything. Best light show, my god, this thing is just an absolute pinnacle of a light show, specifically with the rock theme and everything. It's just, it's a sight to behold. So anxious to put some more time on this one, because there's definitely going to be one locally available to me after this show, which is really cool. So good job Jersey Jack for once again releasing a great playing pinball machine, not just great looking, great playing pinball machine. And then there was Multimorphic showing off the brand new Princess Bride game. And I know when this first got announced, people were super excited that there was going to be a Princess Bride pinball machine, and then their excitement lulled down because they found out it was going to be on the P3 platform. I was probably in that boat, honestly, if I'm, talking straight to you. I love me some Princess Bride. I would have loved to seen a traditional pinball machine. I love virtual pinball machine as well as physical pinball machine, so you'd think, you know, P3 Multimorphic would just be a nice natural symbiosis for me, but for whatever reason I just haven't been on board yet. So this is the first time I got to play everything they had available, which was good. Love the Princess Bride as far as theme integration, call outs, little Easter eggs and everything. You can tell the Multimorphic folks really love this movie. It's very near and dear to their heart. They definitely spent a ton of time making sure that fans of this movie are really going to enjoy playing this game. Now naturally, playing on this machine plays obviously different than a traditional pinball machine. Takes a little bit of getting used to, you know, a couple of minutes, and then you're kind of in the swing of things, specifically for the extra buttons for the additional flippers up top. But as far as the cabinet aesthetics, the artwork package looked great. The topper on the collector's edition, the super fancy edition, whatever they want to call it, that has the swords on the side, I thought that was really cool. Honestly, when I first got announced, I was like, oh, that looks cool, but it's probably, you know, prohibitive and your hands will get in the way. But no, you don't run into any issues as far as clearance with the flipper buttons or anything like that. The Cliffs of Insanity mechanism, one of the coolest things I've seen in pinball in a long time. Tip of the cap to them for that one. It's a nice little integration with the theme. Like I said, call outs, the movie clips, the assets, everything they got on here. It's a very fun game to play. Now, my only issue with the P3 and Multimorphic is that honestly it needs more must-have themes for me to truly get on board. Right now the Princess Bride is a must-have for me, but I need more than one. I need at least 2 or 3 before I dive right in and invest in the modular platform that is P3. So fingers crossed I got some other cool things in the work, but I was definitely impressed with the Princess Bride pinball machine. And then last but not least was the fine folks over at Barrels of Fun Pinball with Labyrinth. I was absolutely over the moon when I played this game at Pinball Expo, and my thoughts and opinions haven't really changed. Love this game to death. Can't wait to own one. Got to see some new code updates, so when I played it at Pinball Expo, obviously it was still in its early stages. It's got a little more cooking time, if you will, so the code has progressed a little bit better. A lot cooler callouts that I noticed. The topper is now integrated. Absolutely hilarious. It was on display at Pinball Expo, but it wasn't really coded or integrated into the gameplay, but absolutely loved it. The goblins sit there and talk smack to you if you do bad. If you don't plunge the ball quick enough, they give you all sorts of jive talking. It's a blast. And as far as, like I said, theme integration and everything, they just absolutely 100% hit the mark on this one. So I loved it. They're doing so well with this, and like I said, I can't wait to own my very own Labyrinth pinball machine. But that's it. That's in a nutshell. Those were my thoughts and opinions of Texas Pinball Festival. Guys, if you were out at the show, if you're playing games, let me know what some highlights of the show were for you down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit the like button. Share this video with your friends if you found the information helpful. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. It really means a lot.